Harbaugh yesterday.
Yeah, that was fun. Unfortunate for Jim. Unfortunate for Justin. I know we have a lot of thoughts on it, but my initial reactions are, what a game. And it could have been even better. And there were some unfortunate drops in that game. But
you think?
There's a lot more to the game than that.
You think?
There's a lot more to the game than that.
Of course.
The clock struck midnight. Quentin Johnston turned back into a pumpkin.
Yep.
That was pretty amazing to watch. I mean, talk about the yips.
What do you do moving forward, Pete, with a guy like Quentin Johnston in your lineup?
Go put him on the jugs machine and get him to catch the football.
I think
He's had a good year
because he had like one drop. I think it was a Cleveland game. He had like a back shoulder that he kind of fumbled, but like hadn't had a drop this year. Like it was
What
like
did he have 2 last night? 2.
3.
Was there 3?
4,
yeah, it was one on the crosser.
That was a bad one.
The yak action
was the one that kind of like ended the game. If they convert that, they could have come back into it. And then when they were in the last 2-minute drive, just to try to score, he dropped back-to-back plays.
Yeah.
So
if I'm an OC,
it's the yips.
If I'm in the Chargers building, I say the next time we drop this first 15, I need at least 4 to 5 gimmies to Quentin Johnston. Get the ball in his hand early and often. If he drops it, have another opportunity, waiting in the wings to give to him.
Maybe he had a bad night the night
He
before.
gets open.
Maybe he had something going on at home because he hadn't been dropping the ball. He's been good this year.
But also, I agree with that point because his first target was not, or catchable target was not until the fourth quarter. It was not until that play that he dropped.
Yeah, because the one on the sideline wasn't catchable.
Yeah, it wasn't. He wasn't going to haul that in.
Dude, because the cavalry's not going to arrive. We're too late in the season for, making trades, making moves. You got to get this guy involved because he can be a huge part of your offense.
The thing is, he can actually get open on certain routes. He's not a full tree route runner, but he can get open, and that's the guy you need. Like you don't have that many guys there in LA that can. So it's a guy that you need to get whatever that is. Up. McConkey, absolutely.
Here's the thing that stood out from that game, and going in, and I picked the Chargers like an idiot. I don't know why, but
we all did.
When you really look deeper into the numbers, that team went into that game giving up 4.7 per rush on the ground. And
they're too high defense. They're pure too high.
But not more than that, they're little. Mm-hmm. They're tiny. When you look at that defensive front, they're little. The linebackers that were playing, because Perriman wasn't in there, they're 225. They're 225.
Denzel.
Puna Ford is 5'11", 300. They're tiny. They're a little defense. And little defenses get pushed around, and the Ravens pushed them around last night.
Yeah, they did. They did a great job of it. I mean, Derrick Henry is so much fun to watch. Lamar Jackson looked like high school Lamar at times, when he goes out to that right pylon for that touchdown and gives the old Harry Houdini there at the goal line. We've seen that move since he was the Boynton Beach bad boy here in South Florida, right down the road from our studio. And I mean, I remember watching him. I didn't even know who the hell he was coming out, and we would watch these highlight films of this kid in Florida playing football. And I said, first off, he's too skinny. He'll never play quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And now you look now, and he's dominating in prime time. So much fun to watch. You have to give so much credit to this coaching staff, taking this team across the country and handling your business. And there's a lot of question marks about this Ravens football team, and they answered a lot of them last night. They were without Roquan Smith, who's a big-time leader on that defense, but they handled their business.
Yeah, I think the play of these corners was probably the most encouraging thing. Now it's like not the most difficult of matchups going up against the Chargers, whatnot, but Wiggins had a few PBUs. Humphrey had a couple PBUs. Like all the corners.
White was in the game running around.
Well, because they've started taking snaps away from Stevens, who had a rough go of it, and he's been playing. White played, I think, 25 plays last week. He played a bunch this week, and that's important. They also made the change on the back end where they sat down Marcus Williams and played Washington, and that is a much better move for them. Yeah. So I think the secondary's improved. That's big. They made the move.
Ardavis Washington, small, not a box guy, but he at least knows coverage. Like he is not going to blow coverages the way Marcus Williams.
Correct.
Marcus Williams was a liability.
And Marcus Williams wasn't tackling anybody either.
Yeah.
How about that Rashad Bateman moon ball? How about that?
Great catch.
It was like,
that's the thing about early in that game. Lamar was off early in the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great throw. It wasn't a great throwing game.
I almost early in the game, I was gonna, if it kind of continued that route, I was gonna say, is it January again? Because it was like what we saw last week. I mean, because that's how we started, but then obviously
they must not have told him it was a big game, a playoff. They should have said it's a playoff game.
Week 4.
It's a playoff game.
It's only a playoff game. Lamar.
No, Lamar, it's a playoff game. If you're playing them, like if you're the Eagles, Eagles this week,
what are you doing for Christmas?
Playoff game. Playoff game.
Do we think now the Ravens can overtake the Steelers and win the AFC North? Who do we think wins that division?
Because they're the better team.
Yep.
I don't care what.
That game to me didn't really matter at all for the Chargers. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think that's up for debate. It's just which wild card will they be?
Yeah.
If they weren't going to overtake the Chiefs anyways. So the Ravens, though, they have a real shot of overtaking the Steelers.
I agree. I think they do. They're the better team.
Game back, and they play them one more time. So.
Yeah, and they're when you look at them, if you had to pick on it, if
they're the better team,
much better team.
I think
they lost to them, but they're the better team.
They have the ability to be explosive on the ground and through the air. They've got a lot of guys who are going to be coming around defensively. Obviously, they have they have the ability to play a lot higher than they have statistically defensively. So I think they can turn it on when this thing comes crunch time.
They rushed the passer better last night. That was important too.
Van Noy.
Yeah, and Owe too. I mean, they got after it.
Ravens remaining schedule: Eagles, Giants, Steelers, Texans, Browns. They obviously have that bye week in a couple weeks. Steelers remaining schedule: Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
They got the Bengals twice. You don't want to play the Bengals twice.
Play the Bengals twice right now, especially if
you do
they win a few in a row here. If they win next week over the Steelers, then they're going to.
I think the Ravens overtake them.
Okay. Yeah, I do too, actually. And as unfortunately, because I think the Steelers are a darn good team, but just Ravens are better.
Are they really? And the reason I say this, you go deeper into their numbers, you think they run the ball great, 4.0 per rush.
No, they're not. I know they don't run the ball.
Okay. Yeah. Do they rush the passer great? They're middle of the pack rushing the passer. They're just well coached.
They're middle of the pack rushing the passer because everyone knows it's one of those chicken or the egg. Everyone knows you have to just game plan around that D line. You can't.
But you still, if you're if you got a TJ Watt, you're middle of the pack. That's not good enough. They got to be better rushing the passer. I think they.
And
have
it's not just TJ Watt. I mean, they've got guys, but they just can't find a way to get home the same way that they have historically.
Yeah, and so when you look at the Steelers and you say to yourself, what do they do really well?
Rush the passer.
But they're middle.
They finish over 500 really well.
Right, they're well coached.
Yeah.
That's the point.
They're just consistently in games, gritty games. I mean, I was talking to Trubisky, who was on his bye week last week. I went and played some golf with him, and I was just picking his brain because he's been in a few of these buildings that I don't really know much about, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. And I was asking him about those ugly games, and Tomlin really just likes to muddy up these games and make them ugly because he feels like they do have that advantage in coaching. And if it's close, as you know, it often comes down to coaching. You stiffed me
to play golf with Trubisky?
I did.
Holy cow. I couldn't play on Friday anyways. But did you play Friday?
Well, we went to the beach. We had like a little family get together at the beach Thursday, and then we just, scheduled a little golf thing.
You played Friday
morning, early.
When we were supposed to play.
Yes.
You stiffed me.
Yes.
No, actually, I couldn't play, but I told him, he did tell me, I could have played with you and Trubisky.
But I told you this.
Yeah, you did.
How's Turbo on the links?
He's got some pop, dude.
Yeah.
Guy's got some juice. He's a competitor, too. Bad shot. He forgets it. He's just on to the next one. He's such a quarterback in that regard. Like, moving on.
Where you're just like.
I'm pissed until I hit the
Me
ball.
too.
And it bleeds over into my swing.
Me too.
The next one.
Me too.